We're moving on to chapter 2, rational expressions. And today we're going to do lesson 1 in rational expressions, which is simplifying rational expressions and stating the restrictions. Just for the restrictions, restrictions are the x values that make the denominator 0. So I'm just going to put the restriction for this one. For the first example, restrictions here, we only have one restriction where x cannot equal 0. Because if you make this x 0, 0 times 24 gives you 0. That's 0 on the bottom. And we cannot divide by 0. It's undefined. If you want to confirm that, you could always go to your calculator, go 15 divided by 0, whatever number divided by 0, you'll get error. So these are the restrictions for this example 1. And then just reduce fractions back to the x goes with the x. 3 goes into 15 5 times. 3 goes into 24 8 times. So we end up with 5y over 8. First question is done. We're going to move on to the second question. Restrictions. And here, this x squared is just also, again, x cannot equal 0, because if you put 0 there, 0 squared is 0, and then you get 0 on the bottom of a fraction or on the denominator, and you cannot do that. So to do this, I will have to look at the top and try to factor it. The first thing we did in factoring is to look for a greatest common factor. And since both terms have x's in them, and the x with the lowest exponent is x to the 1, then we're just gonna take out x squared divided by x, I get x, and then I have the minus xy divided by x gives me y. And we have x squared on the bottom. Now I could reduce. Just make sure you don't reduce this with the x here, or because this x has a minus attached to it, so x minus y. Unless you have x minus y on the bottom, and you could cancel the whole thing together, you cannot just say, I'm going to cancel this x with the square here. No, you can't. But this x, however, you could reduce that. X divided by x gives you 1, and x divided by x squared gives you x. So your final answer is x minus y over x for that second example. The third example, restrictions. Is basically here you take the 4 minus x and make it equal 0 and solve for x. So 4 equals x. So basically x cannot equal 4. That's your restriction right there. Because if you make x 4 here, you get 0 on the bottom, and you're not allowed to have 0 on the bottom. To solve this, factoring by taking out 2x as the greatest common factor, I end up with x minus 4 over 4 minus x. And now, if you look at 4 minus x and x minus 4, they almost look the same. However, they are backwards. So now you could cancel them as long as you make one of them equal -1. And therefore, the final answer is -2x. And to show you how that works, let's say if I say 3 minus 1 over 1 minus 3 is a similar scenario to this. 3 minus 1 is 2, and 1 minus 3 is -2. 2 divided by -2 gives you a -1. And that's why when you have something written backwards, your final answer is -1. So therefore, now I'm just gonna, again, so this here ends up giving you -2x. These two cancel. And we'll move on to the fourth example.